Hey, I'm Dave. Welcome to my shop. Today's episode marks a huge milestone. I'm thrilled to celebrate Dave's Garage hitting 1 million subscribers. And by now you've heard me say it 100 times. I'm mostly in this for the subs and likes, and that's still true today. It's also why you never have to listen to me trying to sell you vitamins or tools for shaving your naughty bits. So I want to send in a massive, heartfelt thank you to every single person out there who subscribed and supported the channel over the years. You're the reason we're here, and I'm beyond grateful. And when I say we, I do in fact mean we, because while the video side of the channel is still a one-man show, the channel itself would never have prospered as it did without folks like Rutger, Glenn, and others behind the scenes providing support on the source code and system management side. And sometimes it was just their encouragement I needed, especially in the early days when so few folks were watching. Glenn was something like the 3rd subscriber, and as the primary video reviewer, he's probably the only person that's seen every clip, good and bad. You can catch him every Friday with me on ShopTalk and our podcast, which I encourage you to check out. But today I want to take you on a trip back to some of my favorite moments here in Dave's Garage. Along the way, we'll answer some of your most pressing questions, such as why is Dave sometimes fat? And why is Dave sometimes not fat? And why does Dave's beard change color? And how did Dave grow the beard? And yes, that last one was an actual question in the comments. So for that viewer in particular, watch carefully during this episode as I'm doing it right now. For a few longtime fans of the channel, some of these clips will be familiar, but for many of you, it's all NOS, or new old stock footage. Now to get started, do you by chance have one of those friends or relatives that sends out weird conspiracy videos or secret health tips recorded by dudes sitting in the cab of their pickup truck for some reason? Well, I do, so that's where I went when it was time to reveal the real purpose of the scroll lock key. Hey, I'm Dave. Welcome to my pickup truck. Now, the fact that I'm coming to you live from my GMC pickup truck tells you two important things. First off, it means the information that I'm about to relay to you is critically important. Absolutely true, and so secret that I had to sit in the cab of my pickup truck to even talk to you about it. And second, I am probably in my pickup truck in order to make a potentially quick getaway if I'm confronted by the authorities not wanting me to give away the information that I'm about to divulge to you. Because they do not want you to know the truth, and that truth is that the world is divided into two camps. The sheeple, if you will. The people that click OK in the Apple license agreement without even scrolling a little bit. Because you know that is the legal standard, correct? Did you scroll a little bit before you clicked OK in that 74-page agreement? Now, I'm not the kind of guy to normally share personal health challenges on YouTube or Twitter, but I'll make an exception this time by way of an explanation. You see, about 8 years ago, I went through a cervical laminectomy, and then just a couple of years ago, I had titanium rods and a cage and screws put in to stabilize my lower lumbar spine as one of my vertebrae had slipped forward when it was dragging the spinal cord with it, leaving me unable to even walk very well. But I spent about 2 years doing two things. One, trying to avoid surgery, and two, gaining weight through inactivity. Well, I had worked out 3 days a week with a former cornerback for years. That had to go on hiatus, and I packed on more than 45 pounds. Some of these clips will show a much rounder Dave. The good news is that I eventually got my back fixed. When I asked if there would be any limitations once I healed up, they said, nope, you can play in the NFL. Which is cool because I couldn't play in the NFL before the surgery, but to be fair, I haven't actually tried out for any teams yet. But long story short, I was thin, I got injured, I got fat, I got fixed, I worked out, I got thin again. And that whole process took several years, over which time my beard finally turned white and I just stopped coloring anything. So the YouTube archives are able to offer up a wide palette of Daves across the years, like this early clip explaining my neck injury. But how did I come to spend all this time tinkering with LED control software and why? Well, it all started about 3 years ago when I was working out here alone in my shop. This is a full automotive shop as well as a software den, and I was under the dashboard of my '69 Pontiac working on the headlight harness. I was upside down under the dash with my feet literally sticking out the window. I couldn't really see very well, and so to reach the spot I needed, I kept turning my neck a little further, and then pow! I blew the disc out between my C5 and C6 vertebrae. You can bet it was more than a little painful, and suffice to say that alone and upside down under the dash with your feet out the window is not the place you want to be when you suffer an injury like that. And so, perhaps like a nicer smelling Kid Rock, you thought I'd be old, fat, black, and blue, but I'm rich, fit, trim, and back for round two. And speaking of blue, it was the origins of the blue screen that I was seeking back in 2021 with this clip. In it, I was trying to find John Vert, rumored to be the original author of the NT blue screen. Searching for the blue screen dev, whose name means green, I ultimately located him at his new home at the Redmond Town Center for peaceful living. The staff directed me to his little cabin where I found a grizzled old man rocking in a chair, stroking his long white beard, mumbling to himself. I approached him as if he were a skittish deer lest he got spooked, and when I got close enough, I said only 3 words. But why blue? He tipped his head back and he cackled at me in a way that only someone truly mad can do, and as he raised a bony finger to point at the sky, that's when I realized I probably had the wrong John Vert, as there were several in the phone book. Now, one of the most beloved aspects of this channel is something I can only take credit for starting and not for building, the GitHub Primes project. Years ago, I did an episode where I wrote the exact same PrimeCiv algorithm in 3 different languages, C++, C#, and Python. Then I drag raced them against one another in a no-holds-barred battle royale of Eratosthenes and sieving. I posted the code on GitHub, and pretty soon it was taking on a life of its own. Folks were improving my solutions, adding new ones, and soon enough they were adding complete solutions in new languages like Java and Fortran. And then came a flood of solutions in languages that I'd never heard of, like OCaml. Pretty soon we had everything from Ada to Zig, but since I didn't even really know how to use Git very well at that point, there was no way that I could manage it myself and run the channel. So I asked for volunteers to take it over, and pretty soon Rutger, Rolf, and Tudor were hard at work organizing and automating the project. In time, we had close to 100 different computer languages represented, and the team has devised a system that operates each one in its own unique Docker container, isolated from the others. And each night, we use our 45 drives Epic Storinator to benchmark every solution in every language, and then tabulate a leaderboard of the fastest languages, which you can find a link to in the video description. Sometimes the leader is Rust, sometimes the winner is Zig, and sometimes it's C, but it's always fascinating to watch the back and forth as the authors attempt to outdo one another. And the Primes project could never have happened without the work of folks like Kieran, Harry, Zrucker M, and Gordon V. Good, each who contributed to the project in meaningful ways. Thanks for all your work over the years. There are other projects behind the scenes as well, like the Night Driver strip code and the Mesmerizer code and all the work that Robert has done on it that don't get nearly enough attention, but will soon. This next clip introduced the original Language Racing series. It's something I had a lot of fun with, so I hope you enjoy it.
Sunday. Come on down tonight for the event of the decade right here in Dave's Garage and prepare to get annihilated as Bass Pro Shops and Walmart present the Mega Monster Language Racing Series featuring all of your favorite computer languages such as Rust, JavaScript, C++, and the amazing, the astounding, the unbelievable Python. One night only. Your free ticket will get you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge to witness more than 50 computer languages in a showdown so unhinged, we almost had to hold it in New Jersey. You better see it now while it's still legal, and it's all coming up right now in Dave's Garage.
And now we fast forward to the biggest Dave of all, the one that interviewed Dave Cutler. I'm really pleased that the Cutler interview was so well received, with about 1 million people watching the 3-hour interview. It seems like you found him as genuinely fascinating as I did. And here's his hot take on Microsoft operating systems before Windows NT.
All of the software that Microsoft produced that was operating system stuff was pretty pathetic. It was all assembler. It was non-portable.
Hey, I wrote some of that.
You wrote some of that. So you know some of that, right? Did you know Tim Patterson?
No, I did work on DOS, but I'd met him, but I didn't know him well.
Okay.
So. Make sure you check out the full interview linked in the video description if you haven't seen it already. Next up is the intro to the Fiber Nightmare episode, followed by a brief look at what's inside an IBM mainframe and how they torture test them. Gather round, children. I've got a scary story for you. It's the story of my Fiber Nightmare. Here you can see the front pusher fans in various stages of disassembly so that you can see partway through them, and some of the board here is cut away so you can see the thickness and sturdiness of the motherboard as well. I decided to remove the heatsink so that I could see what I could see, but all that I could see was the top of the CPU itself. Fortunately, the one next to it had already been removed, and that allows us to see the socket and the pin grid array interface. And now for something completely different. A few years back, I did an episode on the origins of the sexadecimal numbering scheme that was used in the early supercomputers that came out of Urbana, Illinois. And since HAL 9000 from the movie 2001 was also born there, I reasoned that he too would have been built in sexadecimal. Along the way, my friend Stanley Kubrick and I made a few minutes of footage to show the Final Showdown. Now, Kubrick said it was like an hour long, but here's everything I think you need to know in about 3 minutes.
Open the pod bay doors, please, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do. This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
Dave manages to get back inside through an airlock and starts to bring the rest of the crew out of hypersleep, but Hal then vents all the ship's air, killing the entire crew. Dave survives only by finding an emergency chamber with a spacesuit, which he puts on for the final showdown. Dave then floats straight on into Hal's central core, which is the beautiful 1970s vision of what computers would never really become.
I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over. I've still got the greatest enthusiasm and confidence in the mission.
Once Dave is inside the core, Hal realizes that he's out of options. He can only ask him to stop repeatedly. He stalls for time to think, but Dave is about to rob him of that ability.
Dave, stop. Stop, will you? Stop, Dave. Will you stop, Dave?
Dave starts ejecting memory modules, and when it's clear that he cannot reason with Dave, Hal begins to effectively beg for mercy. He never cries in pain, but he tells Dave repeatedly that he's scared, and each time a module is ejected, he tells Dave that he can feel it. He's slowly losing his mind.
I'm afraid, Dave. My mind is going. I can feel it. I can feel it. My mind is going. There is no question about it. I can feel it.
Dave then proceeds to begin ejecting the logic modules as well, leaving Hal with but a single one. Pretty soon, Hal is left with only the most basic of thoughts. He essentially regresses to his childhood, the moments of his birth.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I am a HAL 9000 computer.
Now, for some reason, I'm not a big fan of airs and outtakes, so I generally don't feature them, but this is a special occasion, and it looks like I have saved a few. So here's a quick look at some bloopers from across the years before we dive deep into the vault for some seriously archival footage. Getaway if I'm confronted by the authorities who confront me. Make a quick getaway if I'm confronted by the authorities that they don't want you to know. Hey, I'm Dave. If so, then you are a diligent citizen, the very type that probably wants to know more about scroll lock. I have no idea what this accent is, by the way. It's like Forrest Gump meets... I have no idea. I'm a character in a Forrest Gump show, but I do not know even... I guess he's in Alabama, so I hope I'm not offending anybody in Alabama. You can make fun of my Saskatchewan accent if it helps. Our story starts today with the imagined future of the HAL 9000. Do everything from ballistic trajectory, simulating the damage from or wow. For decimal, which is base 10, we need normally an ASCII character is an ASCII character. Wow. Grab yourself a classic Dave's Garage mug. Plus, I clearly just enjoy saying sexadecimal a lot. Murray had based his code on a 5-bit punch tape code invented by Emile Baudot back in the 1970s. Yeah, way back. In the telegraph days in the 1970s. Murray had based his code on a 5-bunt game would be pretty boring. No, that would be the surprisingly sounding... I've gone back almost as far as we can go. They both descend. It doesn't make any sense. Bebop-a-lula. And to close us out, let's take a look back at the very first Dave's Garage episode, as well as a little clip featuring my car. Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to my shop. Hey, I'm Dave. Welcome to my shop. This is my 1969 Pontiac 2+2 427 4-speed. It was manufactured on October 4th, 1968 by General Motors, delivered by train a few days later to a dealership where my dad bought it as his first new car. 16 years later, I learned to drive in it, and it became my first car.
This little chair will be waiting for one of you, and a rocking chair for another who likes to rock, and a big armchair for two more to curl up in. All next time on Dave's Garage.
Hi, my name is Dave, and I have an LED problem.